working out for the Jaguars and how much the 33-year-old impressed the scouts. Urban said the team's coaches initially worked Tebow out before he saw him and said that the potential new tight end was in, quote, incredible shape and looked more like 18 than 33. Scouts also told Meyer that they were extremely impressed with Tebow's ball skills. So, Shannon, what do you make of this?
So, in other words, let Urban Meyer tell you, there are a lot of Urban. Just want to give you a little FYI. There are a lot of guys that are competitive, that are in shape, that has actually played tight end before that was in the league. I don't know if you noticed this or not, but they are. Most guys in this league are very, very competitive. You don't get to this level without being competitive. And a lot of guys, if you play that position, they are in shape. So this notion that somehow, and just because you look, hell, I look like I'm in shape and can't play a look of football. No question about that. Yes, people tell me, man, you can still play. I can't, PlayStation. That's it. Just because Tim Tebow is in shape, Skip, doesn't mean that he can play the position of tight end, a position that he's never played. So he's run. I don't think anybody said, well, Tim Tebow don't look like he lifts weight. He looks like he lifts weight. Sometimes I thought he looked like he lifted too much weight because he was too muscle-bound. He was too tight. So for me, Skip, listen to Urban talk, it seems like it was a foregone conclusion that he was going to make the decision, the executive decision, to sign Tim Tebow. There are a lot of competitive guys. There are a lot of in-shape guys that have actually played the tight end position that's actually looking for a job, and I believe Urban could have given them an opportunity. He chose to give Tim Tebow an opportunity, and that's where we are.
Okay, so as we talked about when we opened the show today, Tim Tebow, to me, is the most polarizing athlete in the history of sports. And he never really did anything wrong off the field unless you disagree with his religious stance. But remember, he's raised by missionaries, so he's just doing what he's done his whole life. But he's never gotten into any trouble that I'm aware of off the field. Yet, he just makes everybody's blood boil because you either think he can contribute as a playmaker or he's just a lucky bust who cannot throw. And as you said earlier, he's a marginal athlete. So the Tebow effect is so powerful right now that even Urban Meyer, a rookie head coach, never coached a single down that counted in the National Football League yet. He's about to. And yet even Urban is tiptoeing here because he won't embrace it and own the story. He's trying to deflect a little bit by saying, well, gee, he's making it like, well, I had to come around on Tim. He's telling Chris Collinsworth that they actually brought in Tebow 3 times to work him out, and that his coaches had to convince Urban, his assistant coaches, that, hey, this guy looks great. He's in the best shape of his life, and his ball skills, blah, blah, blah. Okay? So you don't think Urban knows that? You don't think, Shannon, Urban, just own it. It's okay. We know what you and Tebow accomplished in Florida. You went 48-7 together. You won 2 national championships together. He won the Heisman. He set all these SEC career records. We get that. Just own it. Don't try to backpedal from it or tiptoe around it. But the point is that, Shannon, I'm just guessing on this, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. They're like next-door neighbors. I think they live 3 houses down from each other. So you don't think that early on, as soon as Urban moved on to the block, that he didn't invite Tebow and his wife over for a little quick dinner one night?
Yes,
you don't think so?
Of course.
You don't think that the conversation went to, hey, how you feeling? And one thing led to the next. And obviously, I keep pointing out to you, it's not like Tebow's been laying on the couch for the last 6 years. He has been training for the sport of baseball. Different than football, but you know and I know, he's an obsessive weightlifter, and I'm glad you brought it up, to a fault. He got too bulky, too tight, especially for a quarterback.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, he was a running quarterback, and you can argue that in 2011 in Denver, he was more running back than quarterback because as a slick ball handler and a nifty runner who can make you miss a little bit, he can get to the edge. Again, I told you, I watched him out here in his baseball showcase at USC right before we started here in 2016. I watched him in the outfield time 4.6 in the 40, which not bad. I think he weighed 240 then. Maybe he weighs a little more now, 245, 250. But he can run a little bit. I'm not saying he's Lamar Jackson or certainly Michael Vick, but he can run a little bit. So the point was he turned Denver into the #1 rushing attack in all of pro football in 2011 because he can ride and decide. He's really good at running the read option, and he turned Willis McGahee into a 1,200-yard back. But the point is, he lifts weights. He's always going to be in shape. And I don't doubt that he's in the best shape of his life. But it's like Urban presented to Chris Collinsworth, well, I had to try to convince my assistants, too, that you guys don't get it. Because the quote was, hey, guys, you don't understand. This guy, he's the most competitive maniac you're ever going to talk to. So let's give this a shot. Well, yeah, that's what Urban loved about him. That's what Urban showcased in small but dynamic doses when Tebow, right out of high school in Jacksonville, was a freshman at Florida. Chris Leak was a starter. I think it was the blueprint for how he's going to use Tebow this coming year, that we'll use him in small but powerful doses where goal line, short yardage, we'll use him.
I don't know if you want to do that and break the rhythm of a rookie quarterback, young quarterback. I don't know if you want to do that with him in that aspect, especially now if you want to do it at the goal line, Skip, you want to do the Wildcat direct snap to Tim Tebow and he plows his way. But I'd be careful doing that in the middle of, on regular down and distance in the middle of the field. Skip, for me, if Tim Tebow requests a workout, it would have been disrespect for him not to show up in shape. I'm a firm believer, Skip, if God bless you with certain ability, intellect, a body, speed, and for you not to use that and to capitalize on that is disrespectful. It's blasphemous to the man that gave you those gifts. So Tim Tebow was blessed with that body. He's worked on that body. I know Tim Tebow would come in shape. I'm not questioning his work ethic. I'm not questioning how bad he wants something, because most guys, that's why you're at this level, Skip. It's hard for me to say, a guy says, nah, I never dreamed about playing the NFL. Hell, I just ended up here. I just woke up one morning, I was in college, and the next thing you know, I'm in the NFL. Most guys dream of this, and they prepared a lifetime to be in this moment. So I'm not surprised that Tim Tebow showed up in exceptional shape. But, Skip, there are a lot of guys. Hell, you go to Equinox, I see a lot of guys that are in shape, but I bet they can't play football.
Yeah.
And there's a guy, I see a lot of guys walking down the street in shape, jogging. They can't play football. So they don't necessarily go hand in hand. There's football shape, and then there's shape that looks good, guy walking around the beach with his shirt off. Those are two different things. But I do believe Tim Tebow was in shape. But, Skip, I believe there are a lot of tight ends that actually play the position of tight end, that's played the tight end position for a number of years, that are in shape, that would warrant an opportunity. But this is where we are. I don't think Urban had to talk the coaches into it. Urban talked himself into it, because the other coaches was like, I don't know, Urban. Here's a guy, Skip. A guy's trying to make a comeback at the age of 34. Normally, Skip, hell, I retired at 35. He's making a comeback at a different position at 34 after being away for 6 years and not playing a snap in 9.
Okay, but obviously there's no wear and tear on his football body, right? So he's got that going for him.
He ain't got no wear and tear. He had never run a route. So you want him to play Skip. At some point in time, he's going to have to go down the field and catch a route. He might have to catch a flat route. He might have to catch an out route. He got to catch something, a seam. Has he ever caught a pass?
They may swing it to him occasionally, but Shannon, he's not going to line up at traditional tight end and run downfield 20, 30-yard routes. He's not going to do it. I just don't I don't think he's capable of doing it.
So he gonna be like the big fullback in Baltimore, Richard, huh? They just the 300-pounder, they just dump it to him here and there. He clean, But Skip, they throw him the ball down the field. He catches some balls.
He does. Yep, I agree. Maybe there'll be a little bit here and there, but there's some Taysom Hill operating here.
Okay.
But again, back to my friend Tom House, who's out here at USC and is the throwing guru for Tom Brady and Drew Brees, and all the best quarterbacks go to Tom House. And Tim Tebow went to Tom House for several off seasons, especially while he was playing in Denver. And I've known Tom since he was the pitching coach of the Texas Rangers, and he would tell me, he said, I promise you, the guy I am tutoring out here, when nobody's around, when it's just him throwing against air, I could line him up with all the best quarterbacks that I tutor, Brady, Breeze, all of them. Obviously, Tim's left-handed.